Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking on, well, a pretty big topic where artificial intelligence and our justice systems meet.
Yeah, it's a huge intersection.
We've got a bunch of information here looking at how AI is being used or, thought about for use. Everything from criminal sentencing to restorative justice, even transitional justice.
And the broader impacts, too, like on
Yeah.
rights, the legal system generally.
Exactly. So our mission for you listening is to kind of cut through the noise, pull out what's really important, maybe spark a few aha moments, without you feeling totally overloaded.
Getting you that quick, solid understanding.
Right. So the big question we're really digging into today is this. Can AI actually be a tool for, well, better justice? Or is there something about how AI works that, I don't know, maybe threatens those core human-centered ideas?
That really is the key tension, isn't it? You have this incredibly powerful tech processing massive amounts of data.
Yeah.
And it's colliding with these really human concepts, justice, fairness, how we heal after harm. It's fascinating and, yeah, sometimes a bit unsettling.
Okay, so let's dive right in. An area where AI is actually already in use, criminal sentencing.
Right.
We've got this Tulane University study, they looked at Virginia, where AI software was used to score the risk of reoffending for like drug stuff, fraud, larceny convictions, over 50,000 cases.
Wow, that's a lot of cases.
Yeah. And here's the first kind of surprising bit. The AI actually led to less jail time for people it flagged as low risk.
Okay, so on the surface, that sounds good. Maybe more efficient.
That's what I thought. It seems like a positive step, right?
It does seem that way initially. I mean, the logic is if an algorithm can reliably spot who's unlikely to reoffend, judges might feel more confident using alternatives to jail time.
Which could mean, smaller prison populations, lower costs.
Yeah, potential benefits there.
And here's where it gets more complicated. The study also found that even with the AI doing the scoring, racial bias against Black offenders, it was still there, still noticeable.
Right. And that's the core problem we keep running into.
How does that happen, though? How can an algorithm, just lines of code, end up showing racial bias?
Well, it comes down to how these AI systems learn. They're trained on huge amounts of historical data.
Right. Okay.
And if that historical data reflects the biases already in the system, patterns in arrests, charges, past sentences, the AI doesn't know it's biased. It just learns those patterns.
So it picks them up.
It picks them up. And sometimes it can even make some stronger, amplify them. It's not like the AI is trying to be biased, but it's learning from data that already contains those disparities. So the output looks objective, maybe, but it's actually just mirroring the biased patterns it was trained on.
So the data itself carries that human history, the decisions, the biases, even when you try to use tech to be objective.
Precisely. The history is baked in.
Okay. Let's switch gears a bit to something very different. AI and restorative justice.
Right. A very human process.
Yeah, for anyone less familiar, restorative justice is, it's really about people. It's not just punishment. It brings together the person harmed, the person who caused harm, maybe the community.
To understand the impact, work on repairing things,
Right.
relationships.
Exactly. So my first thought was, wait, how could AI possibly fit into something so deeply personal?
That's a very natural reaction. I mean, restorative justice is all about dialogue, empathy, understanding feelings. Not typically what you think of with AI.
But we've got some interesting thoughts here from Rebecca Jacob-Bramlett. She's a Canadian lawyer, a mediator.
Well, yeah.
And she raises possibilities that actually make a lot of sense when you think about the practical challenges, especially in places like the Inuit territory of Nunavut in Canada. Huge remote area.
Right, the logistics can be a massive barrier there.
So what does Bramlett suggest?
What's interesting is how AI could maybe play a supporting role, helping with the logistics without getting in the way of the human stuff.
Yeah, okay. Ow.
Well, she suggests AI could help facilitate online meetings, for instance.
Okay.
When you're dealing with those huge distances, scattered communities, just being able to connect people virtually is a big deal. It might make restorative justice possible where it wasn't before.
Right. Using tech to bridge that physical gap. Makes sense. What else?
She also talks about AI helping with, organizing information, analyzing data about the harm done.
So like an efficient assistant pulling things together.
Kinda, yeah.
Wow.
Think about complex cases, lots of info. AI could help synthesize that, make it easier for the human facilitators to manage. And she also brings up a really interesting idea. Using AI for training.
Training.
Like using simulations. People could practice conflict resolution skills or get ready for those really tough conversations but in a safe virtual space.
Oh, wow. Like a practice run for sensitive stuff.
Exactly. And she's very clear. AI wouldn't replace the human mediators.
Right. That seems important.
Definitely. But it could offer maybe informed suggestions or connect different pieces of information quickly. It's really about AI supporting the humans, not taking over.
The big challenge, though, it seems, is making sure the tech actually helps human connection, right? Not hinders it. Because those emotional cathartic parts are so key to restorative justice.
That is the absolute crucial balance.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get the efficiency and reach of AI without losing the empathy, the vulnerability, the real human talk that makes it work, finding the right tool for the right job, essentially?
It's interesting, Bramwitt notes that some communities, like the Inuit in Nunavut, are actually pretty open to using tech this way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't see it as an intrusion, apparently, but more as a way to connect, fight that isolation, which is maybe a different view than you'd get elsewhere.
That makes sense. Context is everything. If distance is the main barrier to justice, technology looks like a solution.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's zoom out again. AI and transitional justice.
Another heavy topic.
Yeah, this is about societies dealing with the aftermath of mass human rights abuses, like after a war or dictatorship. It sounds like AI here could be, well, both really helpful and potentially quite dangerous.
That sums it up pretty well. Transitional justice deals with incredibly sensitive stuff. AI offers powerful tools, sure, but the potential downsides.
Yeah.
We have to be really aware of those.
Let's talk downsides first then. We have info from Impunity Watch. They worry about AI amplifying existing biases. We've touched on that.
Right, the data problem again.
But they also mention a really serious risk. AI being used to manipulate information. How could that mess with truth-telling or peace-building efforts?
Oh, think about misinformation, disinformation, deep fakes.
Right.
AI can create fake video, fake audio that looks incredibly real. Imagine trying to establish what actually happened in a society recovering from conflict when you can't even trust what you see or hear. It could stir up old hatreds, make finding common ground way harder.
That sounds incredibly destabilizing. And then there's the data itself. Transitional justice often means collecting very personal, maybe dangerous information. Victims, perpetrators.
Exactly. Data security is paramount. A breach. Well, we saw the awful example with the Kivu security tracker database leak in eastern Congo.
What happened there?
Data on about 8,000 people was exposed. Just imagine the risk those individuals faced. It highlights how critical robust security is when handling this kind of sensitive information with any system, AI included.
Okay, so serious risks. But the info also points to the AI for good side in transitional justice. Where could it actually help?
Well, think about the sheer volume of documents often involved. Witness statements, records, maybe even social media posts.
Mountains of stuff.
Right. AI can be amazing at organizing and analyzing that huge amount of information, finding patterns, connecting evidence, making it searchable for investigators.
Okay, so managing the information overload.
Yeah, and it can also help with outreach, keeping victims and the public informed and involved in the process.
So freeing up the human experts to focus more on the person-to-person work, like talking directly with victims. That emphasis on being victim-centered seems vital here.
Absolutely fundamental. Any use of AI in transitional justice has to be guided by the needs, the choices, the meaningful participation of victims. The tech has to serve them.
The information also stresses collaboration, getting transitional justice experts and AI experts talking to each other.
Crucial. You need both sides. The context experts and the tech experts working together to make sure AI is used responsibly.
And this idea of AI helping analyze user-generated content like social media to document human rights abuses, that sounds like a potentially powerful tool for accountability.
It really could be. There's often a lot of relevant information scattered across online platforms. AI tools could help sift through it, find evidence, preserve it for potential accountability processes.
Okay, now let's pull back a bit.
Yeah.
Thinking about AI and access to justice more broadly, in the everyday legal world, we have some stuff on generative AI, like ChatGPT and how it might shake up the legal field, especially for people who can't afford a lawyer.
Yeah, this area feels like it has huge potential, but also some really big warning signs.
What's the potential upside?
Well, generative AI could make legal information much more accessible for people representing themselves. Answering basic questions, maybe helping draft simple documents, giving some guidance on how the system works.
That could be massive, democratizing access.
Potentially, yes. It might even help people resolve disputes online, maybe avoid court altogether. through AI-facilitated dispute resolution.
Wow, like online mediation, but with AI helping?
Something like that.
Hmm.
And AI could also help the courts themselves understand why self-represented folks struggle with the system, maybe leading to better processes. Plus, by analyzing huge data sets, AI might help identify what actually leads to fair outcomes. Find best practices.
Okay, lots of promise there. But the info also flags serious dangers. Inaccurate information is a big one.
Huge. Imagine relying on AI for legal advice and it gets it wrong. That could be devastating for someone handling their own case.
And then there's this issue of AI hallucinations, where the AI just makes stuff up, including fake legal cases.
Yes, that case with the lawyers who got sanctioned, they used ChatGPT, it invented legal citations, and they submitted them to the court.
Oh my gosh.
Lawyers have a duty to check everything. But imagine someone without legal training trusting fabricated information. It's incredibly dangerous.
And of course, bias pops up again. If the AI learns from biased legal data.
It could give skewed or discriminatory advice. So the need to really evaluate AI's impact here is stressed heavily.
We can't just roll these tools out.
No, absolutely not. Rigorous evaluation is critical. We need to measure the real-world outcomes. Are people understanding things better? Are they getting fairer results? Is it actually helping?
How do you even measure that?
Things like observational studies, maybe even randomized controlled trials, the gold standard to see if these AI tools are genuinely effective or if they're maybe even making things worse.
Right. Need that evidence. Okay, let's shift to international human rights law specifically. We've got some really concrete examples here of AI being used for monitoring and reporting.
Yeah, some fascinating case studies.
First up, using machine learning with satellite images to track village destruction in Darfur. Amnesty International did this.
Right, the Decode Darfur project. This showed how AI could sift through thousands of satellite images way faster than humans.
Looking for signs of villages being damaged or destroyed.
Exactly. Identifying patterns of habitation and destruction over a massive area, it allowed them to quantify potential abuses on a scale that just wouldn't be feasible manually, teaching the computer to see the damage.
Powerful stuff. But the info also notes limitations, right? Image sensitivity, needing to double-check the AI's findings, transparency issues, risks to the communities.
Absolutely. It's a tool, a powerful one, but it needs careful ethical handling. You always need that human verification and context.
Okay, another example. The Danish Refugee Council using AI to try and predict international displacement.
Yeah, forecasting where people might be forced to flee. They look at tons of factors, like 148 different indicators.
Wow. Like what?
Conflict data, economic trends, climate stuff, human rights reports, all sorts of things. AI is good at finding patterns across all that diverse data.
And the point is to help humanitarian groups plan better, allocate resources.
Exactly. Strategic planning, knowing where needs might surge.
Though like any forecast, unexpected things can throw it off, right? It's not a perfect crystal ball.
Definitely not. It's about identifying trends and probabilities, not predicting the future with certainty.
Got it. Then there's Amnesty's Troll Patrol project, using machine learning to track abuse against women on Twitter.
Right. This one used crowdsourcing lots of volunteers to label tweets as abusive or not.
To train the AI.
Exactly. Train the AI to recognize online abuse patterns. And a key finding was just how much more abuse women of color faced online, quantifying that disparity.
How good was the AI compared to humans?
Interesting results there. The AI caught a lot, but human experts were still more accurate overall, which raises those ongoing questions about bias in training data and the difficulties of automated content moderation.
Yeah, context and nuance are hard for AI.
Very hard. And there are real concerns about moderation tools accidentally silencing certain groups or missing genuinely harmful stuff. It's complex.
Okay, on a more positive track, the info talks about AI for language access, translation tools, multilingual chatbots.
Yeah, this seems like a really promising area, helping break down communication barriers.
Examples like the Norwegian Refugee Council's chatbots for Venezuelan migrants, or an app called Dr. Tanya for farmers in Indonesia.
And projects like Masakane, focusing on African languages, which are often underserved by tech, it's about making information and services accessible to people in their own language. Huge potential in human rights work.
Finally, one last specific use case. AI possibly helping human rights workers deal with trauma exposure.
This is a really important one. People doing this work often see incredibly disturbing material, graphic images, testimonies.
And that takes a toll.
A huge toll. There's a known link to serious mental health consequences. So the idea is maybe AI could help with some initial processing.
How?
Like maybe AI could screen large data sets, flag the most graphic content so humans approach it with more support, or maybe it handles initial sorting, reducing that direct repeated exposure.
That could make a real difference to well-being.
Potentially, yes. Anything to mitigate that constant exposure could be valuable.
So, looking across all these human rights examples, what are the patterns? What's AI good at here?
We see themes, right? Boosting efficiency, especially with huge data volumes, compiling reports, spotting trends, helping understand complex data, tracking things over time, identifying gaps.
Finding those patterns in the noise.
That seems to be a key strength, augmenting what humans can do. But the challenges are always there too.
Like what? Remind us.
Data quality is a big one. Is it accurate, complete, biased? AI struggles with qualitative stuff, context, nuance, ethical questions, privacy risks, especially with sensitive data.
So it's never a simple just use AI solution.
Never. It always needs that careful thought, that cost-benefit analysis. Is AI the right tool here, and how do we use it responsibly?
Okay, one last twist here. We've talked about justice using AI. What about justice for AI?
Ah, flipping the perspective.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the idea that as AI gets more woven into society or politics, economy, social structures, maybe we need to think about fairness towards these systems, or at least how their role impacts overall fairness.
So, applying principles of justice.
Kind of like principles of distributive justice. Does AI support basic liberties? Does it
Right.
promote fair opportunity? Does it benefit the least well-off?
Considering AI's societal role through that lens.
And thinking about how AI shapes how we even understand the world, what we value. Does its role in the background require us to take steps to make sure things stay fair, that people can still genuinely consent to how society is run? It's called background justice.
That's a deep philosophical question.
Mm.
Does the pervasive influence of AI itself demand corrective measures to maintain fairness? Wow.
Heavy stuff to think about. Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, it feels pretty clear AI offers some seriously powerful tools for justice.
Definitely. Potential for efficiency, accessibility, new kinds of analysis. We saw that in sentencing, restorative work, transitional justice, human rights.
And it's loaded with challenges, bias in data, accuracy issues, the risk of undermining human connection and ethical values.
Exactly. That tension is always there. The objective potential versus the messy human reality of justice. That's maybe the core aha moment for you listening.
So that leads us to our final thought for you to chew on. As AI gets deeper and deeper into our justice systems, how do we make sure it actually makes things more equitable? How do we ensure it upholds human dignity for everyone instead of just, amplifying the problems we already have or creating new ones?
Yeah, what's our responsibility as individuals, as institutions, in guiding how this all unfolds? It's a massive question, one we'll be grappling with for a long, long time.